Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inside the Newsroom. I'm Joey Taylor. Inside the Newsroom is where we bring you the trending stories of the KELOLAND area, and we bring in our newsroom staff members to take a talk with us at the digital desk about these stories. And these are the same ones you're seeing every day on our newscast and at KELOLAND.com. First, we're going to start with a Sioux Falls murder trial that is currently underway at the Minnehaha County Courthouse. Dylan Farmer is charged with first-degree and second-degree murder in the death of Casey Schaefer. So far, juries heard from forensic experts with the Sioux Falls Police Department Crime Lab, as well as a lot of other people. And our digital reporter, Michael Dorn, was in the courtroom and has been for most of the week, and he joins us now. Michael, talk to me just a little bit about what we know so far.
Yeah, so jumping in here on Tuesday, that's when I started covering this trial here. We got to look at sort of the timeline of events here on that September 6th date here back in 2024. We heard from police as well as a couple other witnesses, including personal friends to Farmer, as well as a couple other people, employees of different organizations that happened to run across him. And we got a timeline of events for that September 6th date. Wednesday's a little bit of a different story. That dealt with more of forensic evidence here. We got to look inside the apartment of that victim here and got a little bit of a better picture about what might have occurred here.
Yeah, and in this, what's still to come?
Yeah, so there's quite a few witnesses. I know there was a statement made during opening statements that there's 30 or so witnesses that we are planning on hearing. We're probably a little more than halfway through on those witnesses, so still plenty of people to hear from and experts to talk to about this case here.
Yeah, and you know, you've been there for the last few days. I know Dan covered the trial on Monday, and you've been kind of covering it the rest of the week. Is there anything still to come in terms of a timeline that we're expecting?
Yeah, so this is still very much an ongoing case here. This is expected to last well through the rest of the week here and definitely into next week as well. Still quite a few witnesses left to hear. The prosecution is going with their witnesses as of now. The defense will presumably be up at some point with their witnesses, and then there will be time for deliberation after that. But as to when those could be, I could not personally tell you, but I can tell you where we are right now.
Totally understand. And thank you so much for joining us. I know you're going to be back in the courtroom later this week, so we'll probably bring you back to check in later again. Thank you again so much for joining us. And folks, make sure to stick around because we will have more news to get to right here on Inside the Newsroom. Welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. Another South Dakota law enforcement agency can now take part in immigration enforcement. This move comes as tensions are still high in Minnesota after the federal crackdown on illegal immigration in the Twin Cities started in January. While ICE itself has not had a widespread operation in South Dakota, immigration enforcement has taken a slightly different look. The 287G program from ICE trains and gives state and local law enforcement agencies the power to act as immigration officers. While some South Dakota law enforcement agencies are a part of the program, only one police department is listed as a participating member. Sydney Hoyer has the details.
Centerville Police Department is currently the only municipal law enforcement agency in ICE's 287G program in South Dakota.
In normal circumstances, without the 287G program, we would not have authority to detain or enforce any sort of immigration laws. But that being the case, the 287G program provides training to officers of all the nuances having to do with immigration law.
Although the town has less than 1,000 residents and is surrounded by fields, those are some of the reasons the chief of police says he was interested in the program.
We're an agricultural community. We see an influx of seasonal workers and residents that live within our community and come and go from our community.
After decades of working in law enforcement, Hatcher says this isn't the first time he's worked with immigration services.
Years ago, there wasn't a 287G program. However, we did work hand in hand with back then what they called Immigration Naturalization Service, and as well as Border Patrol.
Before Centerville police can fully take on the same roles as ICE agents, they have training to complete. Even then, enforcing immigration laws will not be a daily task.
It's not like we're going out door to door trying to find people. It's in our routine patrols and our routine incidents and calls when we come into contact with people that we can't vet.
All right, we're going to bring in Sydney now. Sydney, how many law enforcement agencies in South Dakota are participating in this program?
Currently, there's about 6. So you've got the Division of Criminal Investigation, Department of Corrections. Those are some of our state facilities. And then there's a few sheriff's offices as well.
And do we know why, or do they ever say why they are the only participating police department?
I think this is just kind of something that's new to a lot of the agencies, something they're maybe not super familiar with. I don't know how lengthy exactly the process is, but definitely the chief there is really spearheading this and is really wanting this to come to his city. And so I think it's just kind of a case-by-case basis.
All right, and do we know when this training starts or if that training's already happened?
Yeah, so he said pretty soon here it's going to start. So even though they're listed as a participating member right now, they cannot currently use those actions like an ICE agent would until that training is fully complete, which, again, like I said, is going to start pretty soon here.
All right, and it was briefly mentioned, but do we know, with such a small town, did the police chief really touch on why they wanted to be a part of this?
Yeah, I mean, on top of the fact that he's worked so many years in law enforcement and has just kind of seen all aspects of the job. The Centerville is, I mean, literally surrounded by fields. You drive in, cornfield on this side, another field on this side, a farm over there. And so a lot of seasonal workers are coming in, and a lot of those workers happen to often be immigrants. And so being a town that's surrounded by places that those people may be working, I think that's just one of his major concerns, is making sure that he can identify the people that will be within his community.
Perfect. And when you were putting this story together, it's been about 12-ish hours since it aired, a little more than that. Have we seen any reaction from the community at all, one way or another?
I did see that it's doing pretty well on our website, trending, so people are definitely interested in the story. I haven't personally heard a lot of reaction to it yet, but I'm sure once we get it all posted on our social medias that people will probably have things to say either way, so...
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Folks, we're going to take a quick break. We will be back with more Inside the Newsroom after this. Welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. A musician and Augustana instructor, has reason to celebrate. Artist in resident Matthew Whitaker is now a Grammy winner. He's one of the arrangers for a medley called Super Mario Praise Break. The piece won for Best Arrangement, Instrumental or A Cappella. Kelly Volk introduces us to the man behind the award.
Matthew Whitaker is the artist in residence at Augustana University. The 24-year-old was on a jazz crew with his band when a friend sent him a picture, letting him know the big Grammy news.
And I was like, what's this picture? And so I showed my band members the picture, and they're like, yo, you won.
Whitaker, who is blind, started making music as a toddler in New Jersey.
My grandfather gave me my first keyboard at 3. And I taught myself nursery rhymes.
Part of his career now is teaching others.
I can't believe that my own teacher won a Grammy.
Whitaker is Augustana sophomore Adam Brockman's piano instructor.
When I first heard him play, I was blown away by the masteries of his improvisation and just full technical capabilities of the piano.
In fact, Whitaker improvised during our interview today.
Music can really, it can be really expressive. I can just be here, just improv,
Whitaker's career in music has taken him all over the world, and now he can add Grammy winner to his list of achievements.
I'm just grateful. I'm really grateful for everything that has happened in my career, and I'm excited for what's next.
All right, we're going to bring in Kelly now. Kelly, I love music, so seeing this piece was really cool, especially seeing, a Grammy winner in our community. For you, when you went to film and you heard him play, what was it like?
Oh, it was just mesmerizing to, sit there and listen to him, especially, during the interview when he did do that improv, he just started playing and we just let him go because it was such a joy to listen to and just a fun thing to include in the story.
Yeah, well, and before I, asked too many other questions, we got a glimpse and we, heard a little bit of him playing right now. Is there another place people can see him play if they want to hear more?
Yeah, Augustana Band is going to have a performance at the Washington Pavilion in April. And I have included a link to tickets in this story, so you can go and click that link and get some tickets if you want to hear him play.
Perfect. Well, so in your story, he mentioned, he got his first instrument as a toddler at 3. When talking to him and hearing his story, did he kind of go into detail any further on that specifically? What kind of got him into music after receiving that instrument?
Well, I think music was probably just a natural fit for him. When he was 10, he told me he started touring the world. So he really has an impressive story and just a natural talent for music.
Perfect. And talk to me a little bit about finding this story, how this story came together from your perspective, because when I think Grammy winner, I don't think Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Well, I was actually told about the story from someone at Augustana University. They said they have this artist in residence and he just won a Grammy. And of course, we thought that was cool. So we definitely wanted to tell the story.
Yeah. And with this story, I know we kind of talked a little bit and, we got to tell this amazing story. What would you maybe tell, or if maybe he said this, maybe not, but what would you tell younger people who are seeing this story, seeing what you do, seeing what he does, what would you tell them to maybe inspire them a little bit?
Well, I know it's cliche, but I mean, he's a good example of what happens, when you follow your dreams. And I know it's an overused saying, but I think he's a good example of that.
Yeah, and with this story, what was maybe your favorite piece or part to put together this story? Because it just seems like a really fun story to put together.
I think just including the music. Whenever you do a story involving music, I feel like the piece is just screaming for you to include some of that music in the story. So it was really fun to incorporate that throughout the whole piece.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Kelly. And folks, don't go anywhere because after the break, we're going to talk about everyone's favorite night at the Stampede, Wiener Dog Night. We will be right back. Welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. To wrap up our show today, we're going to talk about a date Sioux Falls Stampede hockey fans circle on the calendar at the start of every season. That's right, we're talking about Wiener Dog Night. This Saturday, for one night only, the USHL franchise will transform into the Fighting Wiener Dogs to benefit a local dog rescue. But some of the true stars of the show will never actually touch the ice. Travis Fossing explains.
As the team practices on the ice below, a trio of dachshunds are making themselves at home high above at the Premier Center. Axel, Claire, and Timmy are 3 of the 30 adoptable dogs you'll see during Wiener Dog Night.
We get a lot of breeder release dogs. Some people don't. like that fact so much. We're not making room for the breeder to get more dogs. What we're doing is giving these dogs, like little Miss Claire here, a chance at a second life to actually become a family pet.
While 50 dogs will race between periods, Dakota Dachshund Rescue is hosting a meet and greet for animals in desperate need of a permanent home.
They're scared and they've never been in a home setting before. Some of them have never been outside before.
Founder Diane Wade says the dogs are a work in progress, though it doesn't take much to win them over.
Consistent, good food and water and somebody that loves them, and they're not allowed to just hide in a corner. You know, we make them sit on our lap on the couch and they go, wow, I can be on a couch.
But it's an evening that extends beyond raising awareness.
Fundraisers with Stampede have brought in a lot of help over the years.
The Fighting Wiener Dogs will wear specialty jerseys with the money raised benefiting Dakota Dachshund Rescue.
We don't sell the game-worn jerseys anywhere else, so this is your opportunity to take home a piece of history.
Wiener Dog Night is now in its 19th year, and so is the partnership between the Stampede and Dakota Dachshund Rescue.
Is something that we take a lot of pride in. If we can help bring not only funds to them, but recognition and let people know that there are some options out here, that you could just be a foster home and make a difference in a dog's life for a few weeks or a month and help them find their forever home.
And that's okay with Wade.
When they leave the foster home and you see them flourish even more in their adoptive homes, it's just, your heart just grows and you can't wait to work with the next one.
All right, we're going to bring in Travis Fossing. Travis, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
First, quick question for you. This meet and greet, just for clarification, for these animals needing their forever home, is that also at the game?
That is at the game. It's up in the concourse level on the first level. So not the floor level, but the first level up. And they'll have at least one, maybe two different areas that they're going to have dogs that people can pet and hold and get introduced to and maybe see if it's the right fit.
Perfect. And so going to the racing side of things, are there ever returning champion wiener dogs?
Well, I've got to imagine that if you won it last year, you'd want to be back in the mix. I can't confirm that at this point, but they will have 50 dogs out there racing, 25 per heat. And they'll do 2 heats during the first intermission, and then the finals will be during the second intermission.
Perfect. And so this has become a tradition with it being now in its 19th year. In covering this story, what really is the heart behind the wiener dog races?
Well, the wiener dog races are always fun. It's an opportunity for fans of hockey to see something a little bit different. The Stampede love it because they're bringing in not only hockey fans, but also fans of dachshunds and that type of thing. But, really at the heart of the story is the adoptable dogs off to the side. Not only are they raising money to help out Dakota Dachshund Rescue with so many different expenses behind the scenes between buying food and their medical costs, and what they end up, the dogs going for when you adopt them doesn't come anywhere near covering the actual medical costs that they have to put them through, because before they'll go out to families, they have to be spay and neutered. They have opportunities to take care of their teeth. They just have a lot of issues that come up with some of these dogs that they get from breeders or from families that just couldn't support them anymore. And before they go out to that forever family, they need some work.
All right. And talk to me a little bit about the details, the important details that people want to know when it comes to Wiener Dog Night.
Well, the puck drops at 6:05, but they're going to be opening the doors at least an hour beforehand. I know Dakota Dachshund Rescue is going to be there even earlier than that to get set up so they can have the dogs ready for when people walk in. But again, game gets underway at 6:05. They're going to have the Wiener Dog races between the first period and the second period and the third period, so the first two intermissions, really. And then really just come check it out. Check out the races, check out the adoptable dogs, and maybe find the right fit for you.
Perfect. And I hear you also have some of your own.
Yeah,
Talk to me a little bit about
we
that.
Have 2 dachshunds. Both are long-haired dachshunds. One's 6 years old, and then we have a 2-year-old, and his name is Jet. And we actually got him through Dakota Dachshund Rescue. We met him at the Stampede game at Wiener Dog Night a couple of years ago, and brought him home about a week later, and he's been a great fit for us. So we have, our older is Penny. So we have Penny and the Jet.
All right.
Trying to go with the old song, Benny and the Jets. But
is Jet fast?
Jet is fast.
Is he gonna
he's not
race?
going to be racing. My wife is actually going to. She decided to help out with the meet and greet with Dakota Dachshund Rescue. So we'd have our hands full if she was trying to do that, and we had our dogs at the game.
Listen, even that's the best thing you could have told me is that you guys are helping out if you're not racing. All right, Travis, you kind of just told us a little bit about your dogs, how you named them, that type of thing. But talk to me a little bit about their personalities.
Well, Penny is a princess, basically. Everything revolves around her, and but she's very sweet. Jet is a little more of a clown. He likes to run around with his toys. He's got a squirrel and a fish, and he just carries them around very much with pride. And he likes to play fetch with those toys. But they're both very well-behaved dogs. They like to bark like all dachshunds do. But they're very good dogs, and we love having them around.
All right, talk to me about which is which, because we do have your dogs on screen right here.
Yep, Penny is the brown, and Jet is the black, Jet Black. But again, from Elton John, Benny and the Jets, we went with Penny and the Jet. Funny enough, when we got Jet from Dakota Dachshund Rescue, his actual name at that time was Lenny. So we would have had a Penny and a Lenny, and we said, no, we can't have that happening.
Not Penny and Lenny.
So we went with Penny and Jet.
How did Jet deal with that change, that transition? Did
he seemed to be okay with it. It always takes a little bit of time and patience when you have a dog come from a rescue situation. He was a breeder dog, a breeder release, and we got a hold of him and just treat him with love. And it took a few weeks for him to settle in, a few months actually, but he's been outstanding ever since.
All right. So do we know any of the racers? Are we cheering anyone on? Are we cheering all of them on?
Jim with the Stampede had told me that they were going to have some dogs come up from Texas that had come up last year, but somebody in the family got sick here this week, and they're just not going to be able to make the trip. But otherwise, I don't know. I know they had a waiting list of dogs to fill their spot. So they've got their 50 and then some, but guess we'll just have to wait and see night of who's going to be out there racing.
Guess we're going to have to wait and see. All right, folks, that's going to be all the time we have for today. Travis and I hope to see you at Wiener Dog Night at the Stampede this Saturday. All right, we are going to hopefully catch you inside the newsroom the rest of the week. We air on KELOLAND Plus Monday through Friday at 1 and 3 p.m. Until next time, have a great day, everyone.